Really talking to the plants, and they're telling us how happy they are.
Chose not to.
It can fly, but it can also float on water.
The documentary's in two parts, is that right?
Kick off with some swift striking.
That's great. So, Michael, thank you for coming in. George Michael Outfit is on Channel 4 9 o'clock tonight, and then the second part is tomorrow night. Okay, that's good. I've seen the first one.
I scroll through the options with my finger here. Solar system. Let's give that one a go. Totally and utterly immersed in another world there.
We've got to consider all of these things if we're going to avoid an apocalyptic fate.
But also excited.
The police have found us. I can't believe I'm now wanting to run away from the police. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Your Tech Update. Click on BBC World News.
Hello, this is BBC News broadcasting in the UK, on PBS in the United States and around the globe. I'm Annita McVeigh. Our top stories. 1 month after the devastating earthquakes that killed more than 50,000 people in Turkey and Syria, many are still living without proper shelter.
I'm Anna Foster at the epicentre, where people are still trying to find places to live and in fear on the streets.
A suicide attack in southwest Pakistan has killed at least 9 police officers. The explosion struck a police truck in Baluchistan province. Migrants crossing the English Channel in small boats would be banned from ever returning to the UK under new government plans. But refugee charities say the proposals are unfair and unworkable. In Ukraine, fierce fighting continues as Russian forces advance on the eastern city of Bakhmut. The deputy mayor says the region is almost destroyed. And the stars behind the Irish comedy The Banshees of Inisherin speak to us ahead of the Oscars on Sunday.
To feel it as colloquial and then see it go out into the world and be received by people from all sorts of, the corners of the globe that we share has been pretty surprising and cool.
Hello and welcome to BBC News. That's viewers around the world and those watching us on PBS America. Exactly a month after the devastating earthquakes which killed more than 50,000 people across Turkey and Syria, an unprecedented number of people are living without proper shelter. The United Nations Development Programme, the UNDP, estimates that in Turkey alone, at least 1.5 million people still inside the disaster zone are homeless. The true figure could be even higher. Let's show you some live pictures from Hatay in Turkey, which was one of the worst affected areas. The damage there all too apparent 1 month on. And let's talk now to our Middle East correspondent Anna Foster, who's in Antakya for us. Anna, hello to you. And tell us about the people you've seen who are trying to, reconstruct some sort of routine in these extraordinary circumstances. Jamie Lucieux, thank you very much, Head of Emergency Operations for the Red Cross, joining us there from Turkey, from Gaziantep. Officials in southwest Pakistan say a suicide bomber has killed at least 9 policemen. The explosion struck a police truck in the southwestern city of Sibi in Baluchistan province. Hospital medics say at least 15 others have been injured in the blast. There's been a series of recent attacks across Pakistan targeting police officers. It's not clear who's behind this latest incident. Let's get more now with our Pakistan correspondent Caroline Davis, who is in Islamabad for us. Hello to you, Caroline. Tell us more, first of all, about this attack, how it unfolded. Caroline, thank you very much. Caroline Davis there in Islamabad. Migrants who cross the English Channel on small boats to enter the UK will be removed from the country, banned from future re-entry, and will be unable to apply for British citizenship under new legislation. In the coming days, the government will lay out its plans to fulfil one of the Prime Minister's pledges to crack down on people who enter the UK illegally. Our political correspondent Helen Catt has more. Let's get more on this from our chief political correspondent, Nick Eardley. Nick, is there a significant gap here, do you think, between the government rhetoric on this issue and what they have demonstrated they are able to do or not do, as the case may be? Because, for example, the government has talked about removing people to Rwanda or another safe country, but none of those Rwandan flights have actually happened yet. Nick, thank you very much. Nick, I think you're struggling slightly. I know you were coughing, so we're not going to ask you to try to struggle through another answer for the moment, but thank you very much for that. Nick Eardley, our chief political correspondent. Russian and Ukrainian forces are fighting in the streets of Bakhmut, but Russia doesn't control the eastern city, its deputy mayor has said. Alexander Marchenko has told the BBC that not a single building had remained untouched and that the city is almost destroyed. Bakhmut has seen months of fighting and is now almost totally encircled by Russian forces. Our diplomatic correspondent James Landale is in Kyiv for us. James, hello to you, and tell us more from there about the latest updates you're getting on the respective positions of the Ukrainian and Russians right now. James, thank you very much. James Landale in Kyiv. Let's take a look now at some of the day's other news so far. Initial results from Estonia's general election suggest victory for the Prime Minister Kaja Kallas and her Reform Party. With most of the ballots counted, it secured about a third of the votes. The election was dominated by Estonia's stance on the war in Ukraine. The British government has said it will continue to support students accepted by the European Union's key scientific research programme Horizon after their situation had been left in doubt following Brexit. The UK will continue its financial support until June, bridging the funding gap left by the EU. Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan has been barred from making speeches on the country's national television. Pakistan's media regulator accused him of repeating baseless allegations against state institutions and spreading hate speech. Mr. Khan says the allegations are politically motivated. It's already won 4 BAFTAs and it's been nominated for no less than 9 Oscars. The Banshees of Inisherin is the Irish movie taking the awards season by storm. Sophie Long has been talking with some of the stars behind the dark comedy. And you're watching BBC News.
Hello. The northern half of Europe set to turn much more wintry over the next few days.
Hello again. This picture behind me was taken last night in Shetland, where we saw quite a bit of snow.
Now there's on the BBC News channel.
Why not lift living incomes that people could afford the basics?
It's always a compromise, and compromises mean that some people get more and others get less.
Far too simplistic. That is not how the world works.
First of all, thank you for explaining.
This is the extraordinary story of climate change. Vaccines, Ukraine. Let's look at some of the international reactions. Tell us what you've been hearing in practical terms. What does that mean? And let's just remind ourselves, this is all part of the same story.
Today at 12:15 on BBC Two and iPlayer. Outside Source on BBC World News.
This is BBC News, the headlines. 1 month after the devastating earthquakes that killed more than 50,000 people in Turkey and Syria, many are still living without proper shelter. A suicide attack in southwest Pakistan has killed at least 9 police officers. The explosion struck a police truck in Baluchistan province. Migrants crossing the English Channel in small boats would be banned from ever returning to the UK under new government plans. But refugee charities say the proposals are unfair and unworkable. And in Ukraine, fierce fighting continues as Russian forces advance on the eastern city of Bakhmut. The deputy mayor says the region is almost destroyed.
Now on BBC World News, Hard Talk asks tough questions.
And you are watching BBC News. Insiders at the social media giant Twitter have told the BBC's Panorama that the company is no longer able to protect users from online abuse, state-coordinated disinformation and child sexual exploitation following mass sackings and changes under new owner Elon Musk. Exclusive academic research and testimony from Twitter users supports their allegations, suggesting hate is thriving under Musk's leadership. Our social media and disinformation correspondent Mariana Spring reports. One of the UK's longest-serving prisoners, Charles Bronson, will launch his latest bid for freedom at a public parole hearing which starts today. The 70-year-old, who now uses the name Charles Salvador, has a reputation for attacking staff and other inmates. Our correspondent Sean Dilley reports. Across the UK, almost 1 million people are living with some form of dementia. It's an illness which can, of course, impact your memory, also your mood and even your movement. And it can also come at a huge financial and emotional cost for the loved ones around you. BBC Breakfast's Nina Warhurst and her sisters Amy and Mel have been trying to make sense of the condition since their dad, Chris, was diagnosed with dementia last year. Nina Warhurst, her sisters and their dad, Chris. Now, as children headed back to school this morning, one group of friends in Greater Manchester had a fresh new look. They've all shaved their heads. It's not a fashion statement, but a gesture of support for their friend Oliver, who lost his hair while being treated for a brain tumour. The gang, who call themselves Oliver's Army, had simultaneous buzz cuts in front of the whole school. Ian Haslam went to Stockport to see for himself. What an amazing bunch of friends. I'm sure you'll all agree with that. Fantastic boys there, and good luck. Very best wishes to Oliver himself. Now, staying with a school theme for our next story. Of course, sometimes pupils can't make it to school due to illness. So some schools are bringing the classroom to them by using robots which can act like teachers or classmates. David Lum's been to see one in action. A year ago, one of the most famous ships of all time, Sir Ernest Shackleton's Endurance, was discovered, perfectly preserved at the bottom of the sea in Antarctica. Since then, experts searching for the ship's insurance policy have found the document and say it holds the key to future conservation plans. Our science editor, Rebecca Morell, reports. The Prime Minister of Greece, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, has asked for forgiveness from the families of the 57 people who died in a rail crash on Tuesday. He said it should not have been possible for two trains heading in different directions to run on the same line without anyone noticing. Thousands of protesters, including striking rail workers, have again clashed with police. They blame the collision on government neglect. Sofia Batitza reports. Let's return to the police search in Cardiff for 3 women and 2 men who were reported missing after a night out. Police have found 3 of those people dead, 2 with serious injuries. Our Wales correspondent Howell Griffith is close to the scene. And Howell, give us the very latest from there, if you would. Howell, thank you very much for that update. Howell Griffith there in Cardiff. And it's time now for a look at the weather forecast with Carol Kirkwood.
Hello again. It's a cold week that we have ahead of us, and also some snow in the forecast as well, but feeling colder in the wind.
Hello, this is BBC News, broadcasting in the UK and around the globe. I'm Annita McVeigh. Our top stories. 1 month after the devastating earthquakes that killed more than 50,000 people in Turkey and Syria, many are still living without proper shelter.
You can't deal with devastation on a scale like this in days or even in weeks. The impact of this is going to be felt by people here in southern Turkey for years.
A suicide attack in southwest Pakistan has killed at least 9 police officers. The explosion struck a police truck in Baluchistan province. Migrants crossing the English Channel in small boats would be banned from ever returning to the UK under new government plans. But refugee charities say the proposals are unfair and unworkable. In Ukraine, fierce fighting continues as Russian forces advance on the eastern city of Bakhmut. The deputy mayor says the region is almost destroyed. And the stars behind the Irish comedy The Banshees of Inisherin speak to us ahead of the Oscars on Sunday.
To feel it as colloquial and then see it go out into the world and be received by people from all sorts of, the corners of the globe that we share has been pretty surprising and cool.
Hello and welcome to viewers in the UK and around the world. Exactly a month after the devastating earthquakes which killed more than 50,000 people across Turkey and Syria, an unprecedented number of people are still living without proper shelter. The United Nations Development Programme, the UNDP, estimates that in Turkey alone, at least 1.5 million people still inside the disaster zone are homeless. The true figure could be even higher. Let's show you some live pictures from Hatay in Turkey, one of the worst affected areas, and the damage there to apartment buildings all too apparent 1 month on.